live from the city of Los Angeles. It's your boy, Dwayne Cofield. Excuse me, starting off with a cough, right? Um, Host of Drug Dealers to Businessmen, man. It is May, I believe, 13th, man. Hey, man, let me just tell you guys, man. Life is life, and brother, it's 5/14. So May 14th, man, we're gonna wait for a few more people to get on the live. If you haven't joined us on the live, man, make sure you guys do. We are back. We took in a little hiatus. Life does sometimes kick your butt, man, and I'm one of the first ones to be honest about that, man. That's kind of what this whole episode is going to be talking about is sometimes the way life hands you things, right? And like your perceived L's. So this is episode 21 of season 5. What's up, y'all? What's been good, man? It's been hectic and crazy. As people always say, let me just make sure that I got something taken care of. But people always say, you know, life is crazy, it's hard, it's this and this and that, and when you are a perpetual optimist, sometimes the enemy attacks you harder than others, or at least perceptually you think you're being attacked longer than or harder than others. And so sometimes, man, things just hit you all at one time and you just feel like giving up. You feel like quitting. I know I've talked about this on other episodes, but when you get to a point to where you don't have anything left to give anybody, at least you feel that way. Like you're being gut checked all the time. You can't get away from taking L's. It's a constant thing over and over and over again. I am not immune to that, homie. You know what I'm saying? I've been sitting here, low key, damn near depressed because things aren't going the way that I expect them to go. And that's one of the tricks that the enemy does do to you is makes you think that your expectations or your what you think is going to happen in a certain amount of time, he pulls the rug from under you. You don't know what to do a lot of times, especially if you started putting things in place where you were banking on things. So man, many of you guys know we're in the process of starting a restaurant, and that has been one of the hardest things that I've ever done in my entire life. And I've told you guys this before. I've shared this with you guys in the past. One of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And when I start to look at like why is this happening the way like this? Like you can't man. Let me just tell you, man. Hard, hard disappointments, letdowns, um, a lot of praying. You don't know what you're gonna do. You're like, I don't know how I'm gonna get this money. I don't know where I'm gonna get this money from. Things take a turn, things have unexpected costs. People are constantly asking you, when is this gonna be ready? When's the restaurant gonna be done? Et cetera, et cetera. And you're just like, dude, I am in so much that the average person wouldn't even know, And then meanwhile, keep this in mind, meanwhile, I'm going into an area that I'm totally unfamiliar with. So we're talking about trying to pursue a PhD and dealing with that imposter syndrome that comes along with that. So I got two really, really pivotal. I'm sorry, I'm sitting, can't act like I can't speak. Pivotal things going on in my life are two really, really large stressors, right? And when you're going through this, and I've done it before, talking about the PhD program, you're dealing with imposter syndrome because you're not one of them, right? Per se, you're not a PhD student yet. You're not really an academic like that. Or at least this is what's going on in your mind. I'm not really them. I'm not really part of them. And I'm not saying a lot of times, and it's not intention. It's usually just by default that they don't even recognize that you don't feel like you fit in, right? So I'm an older student. There's a lot of things going on in my mind and where I'm sitting there thinking to myself, man, I don't fit in. I'm not smart enough. I'm not prepared. I'm not going to get in. All these knots that are going on in your head. You got a bunch of knots, not the physical, even though you may feel like that at times, but you have these knots going on in your head. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I don't speak well enough. I don't understand the math well enough. All these things that going on in your mind. Like, and then you're saying to yourself, and like, if I get in, can I sacrifice 7 years? And you don't know anything, right? You don't know anything. And the same thing goes true with the restaurant. You don't have no idea What's what? You haven't ran a restaurant before. Can you run a restaurant? Do you have enough money? Is it going to be successful? Is it going to close in a year like everybody says? All these doubts that are going on in your mind. So I'm dealing with all this in addition to being a man. I have duties as a husband, I have duties as a father, all these things that are going on in your head. So you're dealing with a lot. And it became too much for me. I'm not getting the results on this podcast. You got that going on. You watching people's podcasts. You like, man, just like this. I think there's a podcaster named Bobby something, some random Caucasian girl. Started off on TikTok, and then she has all these rappers on there. And I'm like, man, not hating on her success, but you sit there and look at yours, and you're like, man, I can barely get one or two people to watch this. And here her first guest is Drake or something. Like, dude, but that's often what happens, right? We look to the left and to the right, and we start to glamorize their success as opposed to really looking at our journey. And that's what the enemy's using. We're supposed to go within, and we go outside. We go outside for our connections. We go outside for our validation. We'll go outside for our confirmation, right? We go looking elsewhere as opposed to something internal. And I'm just telling you what I'm dealing with. I'm being as transparent as I possibly can. This is what I'm going through right now. And it's an every day, every morning battle that I got to get up and confidently say, man, today is going to be different. It's going to be different. And I'm dealing with somebody who's taking all day. My contractor's taking all day. I got to get up and read articles. I got to get up and try to fit into these groups, these research groups, these different students from different cultural backgrounds, different academic backgrounds. And I'm constantly trying to fit in. And I was telling my wife the other day, I said, you know what? I am so tired of trying to fit in these molds. It is unbelievably frustrating. I know what I am and I know what I'm not. And then a lot of times what happens is you have to fit into these circles in order to be successful. I have to act like this. I have to send this person an email. I have to kiss this person's tail. I have to do these things. And it's frustrating, especially when you've been doing them for so long. You're like, man, I'm tired of doing that. That's why I want to open my own business. But I'm at the mercy of this contractor. So I got to play nice with him. I got to kiss his butt. I got to send him proper text. I got to do all these things in order for him to finish, or else it'll be a nightmare for me. So I'm sitting there like struggling with the fact that I'm a man, but I have to I don't want to say submit myself or I'm at the mercy of institutions that I can't control. And that lack of control with an A-type personality is unbelievably frustrating. I mean, unbelievably frustrating. You don't know what to do with yourself because you're so used to being in control. I come from the game. And in the game, you control your own destiny. You can control you like, man, I'll get 50 bucks or whatever, and I'm gonna go make it happen. Well, now I have to flip that. I have to leave it up to a lot of other people. More importantly, God. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Tanisha? Appreciate you tapping in as always. And that's what I'm dealing with now. Most of these things I gotta leave to God because humans, right? They do things on their own time. And that's the thing too, right? When we're bringing it back full circle to the name of this particular topic, it's called perceived L's, right? Perceived L's. And I'll share a story with you. So, perceptual wise, our restaurant is being delayed. We should have been done 6 or 7 months ago. Well, when the area that we put in our restaurant, there is some hood stuff over there, and there was a shooting over there. And when we look at the situation, we could say, okay, well, yeah, we should have been open. Well, who's to say that we couldn't have put somebody in harm's way? So you think about situations like that, right? So you're saying, that this is perceptually, I'm taking the L. You know what I'm saying? Perceptually, I'm losing. Perceptually, this seems like it's not going according to my plan. But that's ego again. When you talk about your plan, that's ego. Like, I'm gonna do it this way. I'm not gonna consult with God. I'm going to set a plan. I'm going to write it. I'm going to put these particular hard dates on there. And when you put those hard dates on it, you're telling God what to do and when to do it. And they always say, if you want to get somebody to laugh, tell God your plans. And I've told God my plans. I said, okay, I'm going to get a PhD by this day. I'm going to have a restaurant open by this day. He said, ha, ha, freaking ha. That's what he said to me. And he said, "No, that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna take you on a ride so rough that you're gonna question your existence and even if you wanna do either one of them." And that's what I'm dealing with now. And I mean, it had me folded. I ain't even gonna lie. To where I wasn't even doing this because I didn't have anything. I couldn't. I'm like, man, I need a day of success. And then I sit there and look at my kids, right? I look at my pad. I look at my car starting. I look at, you know what I mean, food on the table, food in the refrigerator. The fact that I get to go to school and teach as a career. The fact that I'm even having a conversation about opening a restaurant. These are things that sometimes when we have the perception of a loss, it is just that, it's perception, perceiving, it's what we see at that time, right? Whatever lens we have on at that time. And a lot of times what happens is your lens is foggy. I got a little relative to come over my house all the time, visit with my kids, right? Shout out to my little cousin Ezra. But the one thing I'm constantly telling him, clean your glasses. Clean your glasses, homie, so you can see. Always keep your glasses clean because it'll have an effect on your perception. One of the other kids saw us one time. He didn't have his glasses on. I had my other son in the car, and he's waving. He's, "Hey, see you later, Brooklyn," waving to my daughter, thinking my daughter's in the car because he couldn't see. So his perception is completely off. So if you don't have the proper lenses, you don't have your right prescription on, your perception is going to be off. So you're going to perceive these as being losses, right? I'm perceiving the time that's taking place as being a loss when it may be preventing us and setting us up for the perfect freaking time. I remember my apartment when I first moved to LA. The one we actually wanted. I talked myself out of it beforehand. Like, no, we can't get it, man. They're gonna want credit, da, 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 da. And I settled for something. And that's the thing, like, and what ended up happening is we end up getting an apartment anyways and end up setting us up for the house that we have today. So I'll say all that to say, like, sometimes the timing may be off that you got, like, God's timing is perfect. And I have to realize that. And this is the thing, too. Even when I talk on this podcast, this is therapy for me. I'm talking to myself as if I'm talking to a therapist through this camera. I'm giving advice to myself because my experiences, and I had to listen to this because I got a book suggestion. This is for my men, though. I got a few book suggestions, but mainly for my fellas, right? And it talked about that yesterday, just about the book. And I was listening to it at the gym yesterday, and it was saying, don't withhold your struggles and your failures from people. A lot of times that's what connects you, right? So when I'm sitting in there and I'm saying to myself, I can't go in there and talk about me taking L's. I can't go in there and talk about things that aren't positive. Well, why not? Those are the things that connect you and your audience. It's not your successes. Nobody want to hear about that. They want to hear about that failure. How did you get out of that? Right? That part of that equation. And you say, man, how did you get that answer right there? That's what they come for. They're not coming for that. And it may be one person, but it's one person that can change the world because if you can change their thought process and they influence the people around them, then you're changing the world. You don't need no large audience. Yeah, granted, she may have a podcast, but they ain't talking about anything, nothing that changes anyone. And a lot of times people look, that's me looking to the left and to the right as opposed to going internal. So my perceived L's are actually W's, right? All we have to do is change our perception, change the way we look at things, put things in perspective. When we look at our kids, a lot of times we sit up there and say, man, damn, I wish they could be this. Well, sometimes you got people that are saying, damn, I wish my kids can just be healthy, let alone successful. I'm talking about just manage. Right. So it takes those type of situations to really check me and say, hey, man, it is not that bad. Actually, it's really good out here. Summer's coming, you're in a position, and whenever it gets there, it will be there. Whenever the time comes for you to be prepared for the PhD, you'll get there. So right now I'm learning, man. I bust my ass every night, 3, 4 hours a night on Khan Academy. I mean, literally every single day. You should see the amount of scratch paper I have downstairs. Unbelievable. Every day I'm reading articles. But guess what? I'm understanding it more and more every day. And there's more and more distractions. I get it. I understand that, right? I'm on some other shit. So there's going to be distractions, but I'm understanding more and more. I'm understanding the literature and keep in mind beforehand 2 or 3 years ago, I didn't understand any of this. So things take time, right? Restaurant wise, understanding that process. I didn't know how to deal with a contractor before then. We had this was the first experience. This house was new construction. So we didn't have to deal with a contractor like that. Now I'm dealing with a contractor, dealing with money being exchanged. That's a new experience for me. It's going to be rough in the beginning. Things aren't going to be easy. Things aren't going to be super smooth. But you have to understand that everything, including yourself, is a process, right? And we have to have the tools around us to bring us out of those situations when we feel like the impossible is upon us. And it's going to happen. I promise you that. How in the hell am I going to pay this rent? How in the hell am I going to do all this? How in the hell am I? I've dealt with that this entire probably year process with the restaurant. I didn't have enough money. Didn't had to sell the bus. Sold the got out of that business. Had to took extra classes, paying for paying for refrigerators and paying for all this stuff over and over again because I'm not giving up. I believe in it that much. My mustard seed is getting stretched thin. Don't best believe that. But I am not quitting, right? The same thing with this podcast. My mustard seed is I am not quitting. I've read Acres and Diamonds. I know when you're on the brink of success, a lot of times you are going to be challenged the most, right? You're going to be it's going to look like you should quit. And everybody who I've talked to, everybody, all the stories that I've read that are in similar situations to this and the one that I'm in right now, have all said the same thing. I almost quit. I was ready to quit. I was ready to throw in the towel. It was too much for me. And that's like lifting weights, right? When do you really, really, really get big? It's failure. It's not success. It's not when you get the weight off the rack and it's easy. It's when that shit is sitting an inch from your chest and you feel like you can't breathe. That's when you build yourself because you get out of it. That's why entrepreneurs walk around like that. That's why PhDs walk around like that because they've been at this point and still overcame. They still maintained and still overcame. That's the key right there because right now, I swear to you, you could read in my book, man, done with all this shit. I'm about to quit everything and just be basic and normal. And I said to myself, that how damn selfish is that? I don't care if you have one person watching this video. How selfish are you to quit? To not share your experiences in your story because these are all God interventions. These are all examples of God showing up in your life, and you're not going to share it with anybody. You're going to keep that a secret. You're going to keep it a secret of how God's testing you, how the enemy's testing you at the same time. Are you trying to pass 2 tests and still study? You're not going to share it. People may find a lot of relation to that, right? People may find a lot of similarities. It may not be the exact same experience, but you're going through your own storm, and your storm may be lasting a minute, man. The 40 days, 40 nights from the Bible. Right? It may be raining, it won't stop. And it may be not only is it raining, here comes some flooding, here comes some snow, and damn, here come this. Right? That's happens all the time. Here comes some extra stuff that you don't need, you weren't anticipating. Right? And then, or here come God. What a blessing that you weren't expecting or anticipating. Right when you got it on your chest, when you got it an inch from your chest. Somehow, some way, muster enough energy for you to get it off your chest. And somehow, some way, I mustered enough energy to get back on this. This is my connection with you. This is my connection with the universe. This is my connection with God. It's by talking to you about my experiences. So yeah, I am hella frustrated. Half the time you could talk to my wife. Wake up, like, damn, but I woke up. So sometimes I have to switch things around and let God take control, especially over the things that I can. The one thing I saw the other day was a Jay-Z video that talked about, man, you can't control other people. Your best bet is to just focus on what you can control, which is your attitude, right? That's the only thing you can control in your response to things or lack thereof. You don't have to respond to everything. And I've taught myself that. It's been a lot of discipline and self-control, but I don't have to respond to everything, right? People have done stuff, people unfriend me. I'm like, man, for real. So when you going through your stuff, yeah, people going dog. The people who you thought was they gonna disappear. I had one person check and say, man, you cool? Because we go through stuff, but that's on me too. Because then how many people I checked on and say, you cool? You know what I mean? Just the strongest ones. I'm big, I'm 6'3", look like I play football still. And I'm not. And people automatically think that just because you're that size or you're a certain way, you're a man and this and that you ain't out here getting scraped and injured, that you ain't out here getting tossed around like you in a washing machine. That shit happens, man. And you feel hella alone. You like, man, ain't nobody out here going through the same thing. Ain't nobody gonna tap in with me. Ain't nobody gonna be like, hey, D, you straight, man. You want to top it up, you good, you none of that. But that's because when you give off the perception of being this person who has an answer for everything, people make that assumption that you're gonna constantly have an answer for everything. And you going through the motions just like everybody else. But the one thing about me that's different is I'm vocal with mine. So I'll say, yeah, man, this sucks. Yeah, we taking an L over here, or this is taking too long, right? Or what does this mean? This and this and that, or putting yourself in a position like I'm 40 something years old, so I got to be in a research group with 20 something years old who already know what I should know. How do you think I feel? But I have to constantly put myself in positions of uncomfort in order to be comfortable later. So me getting in these positions to where, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm the oldest or whatever, and you got to get over that. You got to get over your ego of being embarrassed about certain things and making the assumption that other people aren't feeling a certain type of way themselves. Everybody has an insecurity somewhere. But I deal with imposter syndrome more because of where I come from. I don't come from an academic background. My sisters and brothers aren't researchers, and I don't have a stepfather who's a published author. I just don't. You know what I'm saying? So that's a lot of time. And these are people that I talk to. This is what they're telling me. So I'm like, I feel some type of way. I'm like, shit, I don't have any of that. I don't have any of that. I'm disadvantaged and I come from the game. And they didn't teach me anything. Right? I had to learn and scratch my way to where I am today. And I'm still learning and looking shit up when you say it. That's the reality. I'm trying to compare myself and put myself in position to where I can get in a highly competitive school. Right? How am I going to do both of these things? I have no freaking idea. I'll let you know whether I do or whether I don't, but I'm sharing it with you. I'm document step by step. This shit is hard. When you go do something big and impactful and has weight to it, that's gonna take the air out of you every time. It's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? The thing about it is, in order for you to get through those things, though, you have to find some type of outlet. So you're gonna have to find some way to express it, some type of group. When I was talking to someone else who's in the line of work of building out businesses, retail businesses, real estate, or whatever, the people that I talked to that were in that space gave me relief. They were like, happens. It's gonna happen. Don't get your don't get too upset about it. Don't stress yourself out. And they said it so calm. It's the people who have no idea about it. Man, they're not done yet. My God, they're taking a long time. What's taking so long? It's like, man, look, if I knew, I would tell you. And if I could do it, it would be done. Trust me, they would not be taking this long. So knowing those type of things, and having those type of people around you is a really, really big, and I would say a bonus, because you're talking to people who have experience as opposed to people who don't. And the people who don't have experience, oftentimes their inhibitions, they transfer them to you. Their fears, they're like, here's a fear. Let me throw it at you. He ran off with your money. Da, 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 da. I'm just telling you. You right? So those are the two majors that I'm dealing with, are my two perceived L's. One of them is really imposter syndrome, and the other one is really lack of patience, right? And lack of talking to people who are going through the same thing, and they'll tell you, "Just relax, man. It's gonna be okay. They'll be finished, right? They'll be done. Everything will be what it is." But in the meantime, what should you be doing? Should you be in the moment, right? We're talking about mindfulness a lot. So oftentimes we're so far in the future, we're missing the moments right now. What's in front of us? What's important, right? Is there something you're supposed to be looking up? Is there something you're supposed to be pursuing? Is there somebody that needs your attention? Somebody else where you take the focus off of you and your destiny, right? Does somebody else need your attention and guidance, right? So sometimes you gotta look around and say, am I needed elsewhere? Can I be someone else's miracle? If mine's not really popping right now, if mine's not moving in the time frame that I anticipated, let me go be somebody else's miracle until mine gets finished, right? I think that that's probably the logical way. I know that that's how I work. So I'm like, okay, so let me be somebody's miracle until mine gets finished. So let me go work on podcast. Let me lift some people up. Hold on, homie. We ain't done. We might be injured. We might be shot. We might be bleeding. They might have counted us out. They might have kicked the dirt on us, but we rise again. You feel me? We're back. We're able. We're capable. We're still kicking down doors. What's next? Who's next? What goals are next? Right? Who should we talk to? Right? These are all things. Because I'm sitting there saying to myself, man, how am I going to do all this stuff, man? Period. You gonna get up? You gonna set your camera up? You're gonna set all everything up because you already had the tools in place, and you're gonna rock. That's that. No question about it. Move forward. No more talking. Go change some minds and some hearts and motivate some folks. Use your experiences, not now, but right now. Your experiences are powerful. I gave you your experiences, and I gave them to you, not for you to just experience them, but for you to experience them and share what you've learned from that. One thing I've learned about research, you're your best project. What did you learn? What did we study? How did I grow from this? What was the experience? Because that's really what God's trying to teach you. Hey, man, everything that you're going through is for you. You might see it as being a negative, but these are the experiences that I want you to go through so you know how to handle other ones. So disappointments that I've had in the past, the failures that I've had in the past have prepared me for what the failures that I'm going to have and I'm currently going through. And they're not failures. They're just different situations right now. But it's our perception. Again, it's our lenses. Talk to the right people. And when you talk to the right people, it's just like going to an optometrist. They're gonna adjust your prescription. Okay, well, you a little nearsighted, right? You're a little short-sighted, whatever it is, right? You a little short-sighted. You feel me? Or you distance, you can't see far enough. And they adjust your shit so that you can see. But if we going through the world with our perception from when we was a kid, we haven't been to the optometrist to get an update to see how we currently see the world. It's gonna come across the same way it always has been. And if that isn't positive, if that isn't looking at the future in some way and saying, you know what, man, it's a life of possibility. Life is actually pretty good. I'm alive. I know that sounds like the bare minimum. I know that doesn't sound like much, but it is. I'm alive, which means I have an opportunity, which means I can produce, whether it's a product or thought. And right now, if you don't have the money to produce a product, you don't have the money to produce a gift for somebody, pray for them. Pray for them. Ask God for a blessing for somebody else. That's where we need to be. That's where I need to be. Let me pray for you guys. What y'all need, dog? I've been asking God for my shit for the last 6 months. Now I need to do other for others, man. That's me being selfish, man. Don't do your podcast. Don't do none of that, man. Just sit up there and wish for your stuff. Don't just sit up there and pray for your success. Oh man, forget them. That's what I was on. I don't have nothing for them because you ain't trying to. You wasn't trying to. You was so caught up in the old normal everyday. This is how I operate selfishness that you couldn't do nothing for anybody else. Look at me. Who am I? What is that? That's not D. That's not the D I know. And you gotta have these conversations with yourself and check yourself, man. Your experiences are gonna lace them, right? Taking opportunities, reaching out to people. I had opportunities that I was about to turn down. Shout out to my guy Kev. I'm like, man, he reached out to me out of nowhere, like, hey man, D, I need you to do this and this and that. I'm so caught up in my own mess that I damn near turned it down. And that's what the enemy wants you to do. I was talking to my son about that the other day. He was like, man, I got it to my girl. I said, did you? I said, what was you supposed to be? He said, man, I was supposed to go to the library, get these books. Da, 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 da. Da. I said, he stopped you, didn't he? I said, yeah. I said, that was it. Mission accomplished. That was it. And that's all the enemy was trying to do with me. He like, man, let me stop this cat. This cat is on fire. Let me stop him. Let me go ahead and injure him to the point where he thinks he can't even go anymore. Not to the point that he can't go anymore, to the point he thinks he can't go anymore. Because that's the more important thing. Physically ain't shit. If I can get you to stop thinking you can do something, I can get in your mind to where I can prevent you from even moving, the thought of even trying it. You better not even think about trying it. Right? Similar to with the elephant, right? They train him, put him on that rope from a youngster. Once he's an adult, he's so trained that he can't do something he doesn't even try. You dig what I'm saying? And that's the key with us. We got it. We can't get to the point to where he's so much in our head that we stop trying. Because if you stop trying, you know you're not going to get anything. What trying? Acres of diamonds. You don't know if you one strike away from the acres of diamonds. You got to keep cracking. And you got to have that belief that I am possibly one strike away from these diamonds. One strike. I'm that close. I don't know when it's gonna happen. It might happen 6 months. Time's a man's construct. It doesn't have shit to do with the reality of God. So it could happen now. It could happen to our future generation of our kids. It may not even happen to us because again, that ego again, right? We selfish. We can't be selfish. We got to check ourselves when we get to that point. I had to check myself. Almost quit on y'all. D's out of here. I'm done. Nah. I'm gonna keep talking until I don't have any more to say. Period. And I don't think there's a day that that'll happen. Long as I'm on this earth, period, I will have plenty to say and share. I read books. I'm constantly reading books. And the enemy tried to take my Bluetooth, messed up my earphones, took my Bluetooth out of my car. Oh, he was stripping me down. He was like, oh, almost like when you go to the pen, just strip you all the way down, naked. Let me break you down, put you in my clothes so that you think like me. And he almost had me like that. He stripped it down, man, bam. But I found my earphones, popped them in, could still get it. Got me a couple more books. Now what, enemy? I'm up. And got hands, putting them on you. Reading and sharing, man. The thing that he don't want. He don't want to see that. I'm just like, oh, ah. Oh, you sharing? Teach. It's like that jab, that Floyd Mayweather, that constant jab. Right? Constantly. Because he don't want that. If I'm sharing and doing all this stuff, man, what? That means you changing lives. That's the best place for me to be is in the classroom where he has me. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna change lives in community, man. We got a bunch of programs about to start. School program, we're trying to do all that. You think he wants that? Negative. But guess what? That's when I turn it up. Right? That's when I come and okay, I speak it into existence. I share it in groups like this. Speak it into existence. Right? Share some of the things that I'm doing. Right? I was talking to my son about habit stacking, the atomic habits. My oldest son just got hip to my Audible books. Like, Dad, you got Jules over here. So as long as I've been telling you, you weren't listening. But self-discovery is a mug. So you self-discover these books. Now you're getting on to them. So the book that I bought yesterday was oh my God. Now my age kind of catches up with me. The Way of the Superior Man. Excellent book. But mainly talks about how to deal with women and things like that. So if you're a woman, you might dig it too. You know what I'm saying? So I'll show you guys a couple of the books in a minute that I've been kind of on. and they've been helping me a lot, man. They've been helping me get out of things mentally. I've been doing a lot of writing. I've been doing a lot of reading, so I've been doing a lot of studying, things like that. So I've gotten smarter over the last probably 3 or 4 months. Easily 100% smarter. Now, my fortitude, my ability to handle disappointment has also grown as well, because that's what I've had to deal with, and I'm also pulling myself out of kind of a position the restaurant kind of got me in. So not giving up at all on that. It's just things are hard and things are tricky, right? But you get experience in that sense. I don't want to say like detail wise, but we will be done soon. So we'll put it like that. And as far as the other things that I'm going through, these are just like any other challenges you experience. And of course, we all go through them. Some are larger than others. Some are more challenging than others. Some are to the point to where you like that's impossible. But I challenge you all to look at the impossible things. Those things that we deem as saying, man, there's no way in hell I could do this, and see how it can be done. And I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, to do something, go look at something impossible and see how it could be done. Well, what if there are no breadcrumbs? What if nobody's done it before? Well, you know what that presents? An opportunity. Why don't you go do it first? And if you ain't gonna do it, what more I mean, life has a purpose. And when you stop doing things, it starts to get mundane, dull. It doesn't have a lot of real return, right? But when you find purpose and you realize that, you know what, I'm here to motivate, I'm here to educate. I'm here to show that it's possible. I'm here to show that you can make mistakes. I'm here to show that you can scrape your ass, your head, and everything else and still get out of it and tell people about the story, right? Because those are the stories that really matter. It's not the fiction that you actually, damn, you barely made it out of there, didn't you? Yes, it was hot and hard. But this story I'm going to tell you is going to inspire you to want to go do something impossible your damn self. So I'm back, y'all. The book I wanted to share with you guys, let me go ahead and pull it up. I got a couple. I think I bought more than that. I was trying to find some for a while, man, but it was like, man. So I got an extra credit. So if you guys got some suggestions for your partner, man, I certainly would appreciate it. You know what I mean? Certainly would. If you guys got any special requests, please let me know that as well. I'll try to cover it, but we're gonna get into some more specific topics. Oh, let me see. That's not what I want to share. Hold on. I'm just pulling it up. So we got the way of the superior man. And then let's see. Here we go. All right. Just pulling this up. All right. So we got the way of the superior man. Highly recommend this for any man. Just to teach you how to treat women and treat you how to um more importantly, treat yourself so that you have a lot of respect for yourself. And a really, really good book, man. I put my son up on it. It's a kind of like a bestseller type situation. What else I got in here? This is the one I just bought. I bought that for my son, my youngest son. And these are two I've been on kind of lately too. The Practical Optimism. I reread some Joseph Mercy. I was going through. So when I was going through it, I'm like, man, believe in yourself, because you get to a point where you doubt yourself, especially you have an A-type alpha personality and you're so used to having things your way and being in control. Just you giving up that control to other people is a tough one. And maybe that's what God's trying to teach me in the process. Like, give up control, man. Everything you don't have to control. All right. So remember, Way of the Superior Man, we will be back next week. Summer's coming up, so we will lock in these times every Tuesday about this time. And that will be it, man. Your boy, Dwayne Cofield, and I'm tapping out.